Hi, this is Mary Morgan of the Morgan Network. Welcome to Marketing Sense. Today, I'm delighted to be asking my friend and colleague who doesn't get into town often, Dr. Sandy Burke, 3 questions about marketing these days. Greetings, Sandy. For people that don't know you, tell us about you and what you do.
Okay, thanks, Mary. Currently, I'm an associate professor and the head of the marketing faculty at University of Technology, Sydney. And I'm also a senior researcher at our center, which is the Center for the Study of Choice. That's sort of, an academic area that I'm in right now, but I started out my career in the real world. I started out in brand management at Procter & Gamble and at PepsiCo. And since then, I've kind of bounced between academia and industry. Within that, really, a research-oriented environment, my focus is on studying competitive positioning and competitive strategy. So that's my area of expertise in that area.
Cool. Now for the 3 questions.
Okay.
What is competitive positioning?
Competitive positioning is the identification of a product's target audience and the unique value proposition that the organization is going to put into their offer to meet the needs of that particular target audience. So in a nutshell, it's an organization, the practice by an organization to make sure that they've got, that for each of their products or services in each of the industries that they're in, they have a relevant and compelling value proposition that is somehow being delivered in a manner that's superior to competition. It has nothing to do with trying to own a market. In fact, it's the opposite of trying to own a market. It's really figuring out what part of the market are we best adept at competing in a superior manner. So the competitive positioning is all about figuring out what that value proposition is and what the target audience is. And competitive strategy is actually transcending that to making the right internal strategic decisions to ensure that you're going to be able to do that better than competition for the long term.
Question 2, how should marketers go about positioning competitively?
Well, I think the best way to answer that question is to focus on 3 things that organizations often do very poorly when it comes to competitive positioning that keeps them from being able to do it well. The first is having the right mindset. A lot of organizations have a hard time making trade-offs. And in order to do one thing really good, you have to make trade-offs and give up on some other things. Well, what that by definition is saying, all right, for those consumers who want this one thing that we do really well, we're your guy. But for all you other consumers who are looking for something else, we're not your guy. And a lot of organizations have a hard time turning their back on any consumers. They want high share of market in the overall subjectively defined industry that they're in. But again, that leads them to trying to be all things to all people. If you think about soap, for example, you can be the most gentle soap, or you can be the best cleaning soap. The likelihood is you're not going to be able to be both because they're mutually exclusive. And being either of those is probably going to be involving costs like ingredients or R&D and things like that would preclude you from being the lowest cost soap. So for any of those things, you're going to have to make some trade-offs and focus in on one part of the market, which organizations have a hard time doing. I have had clients, though, who have instituted focus, reduce their share, and increase their profitability. So at the end of the day, you just have to figure out what's most important, and the mindset has to be on profitability and owning a part of the market rather than the whole market to do good competitive positioning. The second thing that organizations need to be good at is just be good marketers. They have to have very good market sensing methods that they're using, and they have to really understand what's going on in their marketplace from a consumer perspective. A lot of organizations, when you ask them about segmentation, for example, they will say, well, for diapers, well, all the families out there that have children under the age of 3, that's our target audience because they all need diapers. Well, that's not your target audience, that's your market. What matters is how do those people who need diapers choose between one diaper and another, and that leads to your segmentation. There might be consumers out there who just want the best, performing diaper that handles all messes of all kinds. There might be others who are looking for the lowest cost diapers. There might be other, they don't care about the thrills. As long as it works, okay. I just want to pay a low price. There might be others who are saying, I want to use disposable diapers, but I have ecological concerns. So I want the most eco-friendly diapers. Well, those are three very different markets. And if you try to be all of those kinds of things, you're going to confuse the market, and you're probably not going to be the best at any of them. And so what you're going to end up doing is you're going to leave yourself open, not being the best at one of them, for competition to come in and steal that part of the market, because they will focus and be the best at that. So you have to have these really good market sensing techniques, which will allow you to really delve into what are the needs and benefits that these different groups are seeking. And it gets even that much more complicated when you think about a particular consumer can actually be in different segments at different times. So if I'm going to a grocery store and I'm in a hurry because I'm on my way home from work, I want convenience. If I'm going to a grocery store and I'm having a dinner party, I want to go to a specialist store that has all great stuff. If I'm doing my monthly shopping, I'm going to jump in the minivan and go out to one of the warehouse places and get the lowest prices. So especially when companies use demographics to do their segmentation, my demographics didn't change between those different I'm still female, I'm still of a certain age, I still live in the same place, and yet I'm in 3 different segments on those different purchase occasions. So actually having that sophistication in terms of understanding the value propositions that consumers are seeking will lead to much better, you have to do that to be able to do competitive positioning. But then, as I said earlier, the thing that that's good marketing. The thing that actually transcends competitive positioning, competitive strategy from being good marketing to actually being strategic is the whole idea of using resource-based marketing to tie those value propositions consumers are seeking to what we're good at from a business model perspective. You can, if you don't think about what you're good at, you can go after a particular part of the market, but if competition can do it better than you, then the likelihood is you're going to spend a lot of time, money, effort. You're still going to lose because you didn't think about what does it take to walk the walk. So, before you choose the value proposition you're going to go after, you have to look at what you're good at. And you either have to build a business model that caters to that, or you have to go with your current strengths if you've already got those. And in addition to that, you have to continually make business model decisions that are going to make you better at doing that than competition.
Last question, can you share with us what you're currently working on?
Yeah, well, my biggest passion right now is to develop an index of, that can go across industries and things like that and actually measure competitive positioning strength. Right now there's not one of those. And basically, the effectiveness of your competitive position is a function of the strength and the consistency in which stakeholders hold that position. If they don't know about it, or if they don't believe it, then you don't have competitive position. You just have a slogan. So it's something. We're developing a model that kind of looks at all the different components of competitive positioning strength. And once we start measuring that across a lot of different products in key industries, we can then develop an index. And that will allow organizations to understand what a product that they have, what the competitive positioning strength of it is. But in addition to that, what things do they need to do differently to improve their competitive positioning strength on that product? It'll also allow governments to take a look at key industries and say, okay, this industry is vulnerable, because it's got a lot of competitors who are doing, that have low competitive positioning strength. That's going to stagnate the industry, commoditize the industry, and that's a worry, because the more industries that we have like that, the weaker our overall economy is. So again, from the micro and macro level, it's a tool that's necessary and is not yet available. So that's what we're working on.
Thanks for taking the time and the insights.